Got some new glasses. Been getting mixed reactions about these glasses. It is 5 after. I'm going to get started. Welcome, everybody, back to the Road to 1,000 Users. I'm John Mello, the founder of PayHouse. We build applications specifically using Bubble.io, and other no-code products. What I want to talk about a little bit today is working a rushed development timeline. That's kind of the default, that everyone always seems to be rushed, whether that's in an employment situation, whether that you're building an app for yourself. You may have a deadline in mind that you're trying to meet, and you kind of set these arbitrary timelines and deadlines for yourself, which cause you stress. And there's also the clients, if you're doing freelance work for clients, that pressure usually comes from the client's timeline and the client's internal and external pressures for delivering on. Seem like everyone is in a rush to push new updates, or there is some kind of deadline in mind. You have to push this by the end of the quarter. And whenever I hear that, my first question is why? Why do you need to do that? Why do you need to push this at the end of this quarter? I would say that more times than not, the reason is entirely arbitrary, right? It's just kind of a deadline in their head, in the person's head, that they've assigned so much importance to. This event, this big launch, this thing that has to happen. What happens when you have that when they have that in their head? Or when a person has that in their head, and this is internal also, I set arbitrary deadlines for myself all the time. You're going to feel this internal pressure. You're going to feel rushed. And that is always, like every time that I feel that way, I'm in that state of like, I have to get this done. I ship shitty code, or I ship, not code, because it's not code, but I ship bugs, I should say, or I ship things that I shouldn't have. I should have spent more time with. Had I gone back and done this with a clear head, where I was, really in the moment, feeling like, okay, this is going to get done. Ooh, cool. I got to this next thing. That's working. Let me push that live, see how it works in the live environment. Okay, let me do this thing too. It's a natural flow. There's nothing pushing me except like my desire to want to do it. And that's tricky, especially in a client arrangement, right? Because the reality is you do have deadlines. You probably have promised the client like you're going to get this done in X and X date, or we work in a world with deadlines, especially in the US. These fucking glasses are annoying me. I'm gonna take them off. Especially if you're in the US, where we're just very deadline centric and very, when will this be done by? How much and how long? Or when you are developing, you should be developing with a clear, cool head. You shouldn't be doing it. I mean, you may be a night person and you do your best work at night. I know everyone has kind of a different, some people do their best work in the morning. I'm a morning person. I wake up early and I can that's when my ideas come very quickly. In the nighttime, I'm pretty useless. So I don't think it matters like what time of day you do it, but you should be in that clear-headed state where you're relaxed, you're calm, you don't have 20 other things that you have to attend to, and you're trying to do this development in the meantime, or a client has found a bug and then you're rushing to fix that and you ship it straight away. That's how you make more bugs. And any developers will tell you that once you fix one thing, you've found 3 more problems that you need to solve. If you rush to push something out, you're probably going to ship some bugs, which is not the end of the world, but you'd probably catch it if you were in a calmer state of mind. So in a state where you feel like you have to do something, like you have to, because somebody is either telling you, or again, just your own internal sense of urgency, ask yourself, like, where is that pressure coming from? Like, why do you feel pressure to do this? Is it real? Or is it just kind of like some arbitrary deadline that you've set for yourself, or that somebody else has set? And if someone else has set an arbitrary deadline for you, ask why. Why did you set that? Why are we rushing to get to this finish line before we're ready? I think a conversation around that, and if the client, again, talked about this last week, if the client is understanding about the way that this development process works, then they'll be open to like, well, maybe I didn't really think about that. I set this deadline because of X, but I didn't really think about X in this way that you're describing it, and that comes out through conversation. And maybe that isn't as important as I thought it was. So you kind of break down those barriers. It's like, why are we doing it this way? Or why are we rushing? That has been a tremendous amount of belief. Now, another part of this problem, I think, comes from the way that no code is marketed. It's marketed as a very fast, um, a very fast development platform. Like, you can build apps fast. That's like the number one thing that people say when they think of no code, or the way that no code products market themselves. It's faster than code. That's true, but that doesn't mean like you're going to build Amazon in 2 weeks. It doesn't work that way. There's still a lot of programming principles that are not fast. There's still conversations to be had amongst different people who are involved in this project that are not fast. If you're comparing one-to-one traditional hand coding and developing in Bubble, yes, Bubble is faster, but that's one aspect of the app that you're building. There's also product management. There's also user feedback to get. There's so much to this coding or develop or visual programming is one piece of that. It's an important piece, but it's one piece. So you can't rush through this entire this learning process just because you think that you've got the magic platform that's going to do things in a quarter of the time as a traditional development stack. It doesn't work that way. So part of the problem, it definitely comes from the no-code platforms themselves in the way that they're messaging and marketing their product. And I can see why they do that. They want to get people to use it and get people interested. But I don't think that sets up the right expectations for a proper development timeline. And that, I think, is what my beef is. 3 people joined last week. I did add a bunch of feedback, or get a bunch of feedback. It's coming in through the tool itself and the kind of a combination of other just people telling me things where I'm documenting in a separate document. So few Twitch followers, some more feedback. I did have one mom test last week from somebody from Ghana, new country added to my list of people, Bubble freelancers that I've spoken to. I'm happy about that. Quickly through the tool. I'm not going to make this long, but just quickly through the tool and how it looks now. I've got my clients here. I got a client list. I've got all the scopes that I have open with the clients. I got the features that the clients themselves have added, and I assign those to scopes. I've got the feedback mechanism for people putting in what they want to see here. See, a few of these I'm still working through, like mobile view, for example. I haven't had a chance to work on that. And then if they want to book a chat with me, here's the chat. So that's the tool. This is really what I'm working on. There's also a freelancer side that I think I've shown in another video, but nothing too much to say about the freelancing side. I don't think not much has changed, so I don't think there's any updates there. But one final thought for today is when it sucks. When it sucks, I find myself in kind of this slump from time to time, and I think every entrepreneur, self-employed person, or anyone who's just creating something on their own, not in an employment situation, goes through this kind of just slump where you literally, like, everything just feels like the weight of the world is on your shoulders. Like, maybe it comes, for me, it usually is on set when I just feel like I have too much development work and I'm just starting to get overwhelmed with stuff. And I get to a point where I'm just like, I don't want to do shit. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to talk to anybody. Don't talk to me. That's how I feel. And it will just, I literally, if I go into Bubble and start trying to work and force it, I can't do anything. It looks like Chinese to me. If you've ever seen the movie Limitless, where when Bradley Cooper is coming off that NZT whatever drug, and he's off of it, and the next day he looks at the same documents that he was looking at when he was on NZT, and it just makes no sense to him. That's how it feels like when I'm looking at Bubble. I can't, like, the logic is just not coming. It just doesn't work. Like, the brain is off. And when that happens, I stop. I don't force myself to do it, because all I'm going to do is create more work for myself when I'm in that state of mind. So the state of mind, whatever it is, like, there is definitely a creative part that lights up in my brain when I'm working in Bubble. And that's part of the reason why I enjoy it so much. But when that part of my brain is not functional, I don't do anything. I can't, because I'll just make mistakes and I just make more work for myself, and then I get frustrated, and then it makes me want to do it, like, work even less. So I stop. I let it suck for a little bit, for a day or whatever, however many hours I need to kind of bounce back. I honestly think it's just my brain kind of recharging after I've gone for too hard for too long. So I think there is something like biological about when I get in those moods. But I have to think that other people are feeling that way as well. Where sometimes you'll have a problem that you've been working at for 3 hours. You take a 3 hour break, or you sleep on it, or you come back in a day and it takes you 5 minutes to figure it out. Like, that's your brain working in the background solving that problem. So like I'm trying not to force it. That is something that I've really developed over years of doing working in bubble, is that like no one to stop, no one to like, you're not making progress here. Stop. You need a break, or you need to just like recharge however you recharge. All right. So I think that's it for me for this week. If you are watching this on YouTube, try and join the live stream. I'm streaming every Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, twitch.tv/bubblehack. I want to take people's questions, and I want to know how you're finding your first 1,000 users as well. All right. See you next week.